Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? I see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up, and thank you for joining me today. My name is DeRay, aka rainbowFRIGHT, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. Today's movie review will be on horror Halloween Kills.
Can't hurt anyone ever again.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Thank you all for your patience while I moved from one city to another. I know it's been a minute since I've uploaded a horror movie review, but I hope you've been enjoying my other Spooktober content. I narrated a scary story for Grande's Graveyard. I also delivered the survival stats for Ghost Fake, and I also did a music video tribute for the original Halloween film. I've also got more Spooktober content coming to you till the end of the month. As you can see, I finally have my studio/office all set up. It's still a work in progress, but I'm ready to get this freight train going again. So let's jump into the summary and then I'll give you my thoughts. There will be some spoilers, so be prepared. You ready? Let's roll. Halloween Kills starts right where Halloween 2018 ended. We see sleazeball Cameron walking home from the dance and trying to get a hold of his sleazeball buddy Oscar, who we saw get skewered like a shrimp in the previous film, and we get to see the aftermath again. Cameron then finds Hawkins, who's barely alive after his attack by Dr. Sartain, Michael's new doctor, who shockingly was fascinated by Michael and intended to set him free in order to study him in, quote, the wild. However, Michael immediately kills Dr. Sartain. It's here we learn that back in 1978, Michael attacked Hawkins' partner, and in an attempt to shoot Michael, Hawkins instead killed his partner. Later, we also find out that Hawkins prevented Loomis from shooting him at point-blank range in front of Michael's childhood home. Now, regretting that decision, he vows to kill Michael himself. Meanwhile, Tommy Doyle and the gang are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Michael Myers' capture at the local bar. From the original film, we have the same actresses, Kyle Richards and Nancy Stevens, who played Lindsay Wallace and Marion Chambers, reprising their roles. We also have Lonnie Elam, the kid who teased Tommy Doyle at school back in the day, played by Robert Longstreet. After trapping Michael in the basement and setting Laurie's home on fire, Laurie, Karen, and Allison go to the hospital to get Laurie's stab wound to the stomach treated. While the family believes they have killed Michael, he manages to escape and proceeds to kill every firefighter using their own tools against them. The party at the bar comes to an abrupt stop when they get news of murders occurring around Haddonfield. Tommy and the gang have a feeling that it's Michael who is committing the murders. When a couple leaves the party, they mistake one of the escaped inmates for Michael and run to tell everyone else. Fed up with the decades of trauma and fear caused by Michael, the residents of Haddonfield decide to band together to take down this evil. The escaped inmate manages to get away unseen. Karen and Allison finally find out that Michael is still alive, but Karen decides to not let Laurie know, knowing she would try to go find him despite her fragile condition. After Michael killed her father, and against Karen's wishes, Allison decides to join Tommy and the rest of the mob and hunt down Michael. During this time, Michael claims victim after victim after victim after victim after victim after victim. The mob makes it to the hospital and Tommy informs Laurie that Michael is still alive. Soon after, the mob spots the escaped inmate from earlier and assumes it's Michael because of his prisoner clothes, knowing Michael just escaped a psychiatric hospital. Laurie and Karen try to tell the mob that the man isn't Michael, but that doesn't stop them from forcing him to leap to his own death. Michael returns to his childhood home to stare out of his beloved window in his sister's room and claims 2 more victims. Lonnie has a hunch that Michael is at his childhood home and heads there with Allison and Cameron. Lonnie is offed by Michael as soon as he steps foot into the house. Allison and Cameron run inside when they hear Lonnie's gun go off, which leads to Cameron's brutal death. Michael then approaches Allison, ready to end her life. But just before he has the chance to, he is stabbed in the back by Karen with a pitchfork. Allison escapes while Karen lures Michael to the angry mob, ready to pounce on him. Thinking they've finally killed the shape, the mob lets their guard down, and Michael comes for them all, killing everyone, including Sheriff Brackett and Tommy Doyle. Karen, still in shock, goes up to the second floor of Michael's childhood home and stares out of his beloved window, as he did many times before. Michael then appears from behind and viciously stabs Karen until her lifeless body falls to the ground. We're then left with both Michael and Lori staring out of their windows until we cut to a title card. That was a lot. This movie is intense, and I had such a good time watching it in the movie theater. Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and Andy Matichak again had a great chemistry together. So here we have the second film of a trilogy, which was directed by David Gordon Green. He was also on the writing team along with Danny McBride. These guys brought us things like Pineapple Express, Chosen, and Eastbound and Down. It always trips me out when I see comedy writers and actors come over to the dark side. Scott Teem was the third writer, and he's actually also written the story for the Exorcist reboot that is set to be released in 2023. And David is actually set to direct all three films, and Scott Teem has written the script for the reboot of Firestarter, which doesn't have a release date yet. Danny and David originally wanted to write Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills at the same time and then shoot them back to back, but ultimately they decided against it. They chose to see what the response was like for the first film before putting all that time and money into a second film that people may have not been interested in seeing. Just days after Halloween 2018 was released, Danny and David began pre-production on Halloween Kills, as well as scheduled a release date for Halloween Ends in October of 2023. It was really cool to see Nancy Stevens and Kyle Richards reprise their roles as Nurse Marion and Lindsay, the young girl Laurie babysat in 1978. Nick Castle also reprises his role as the original Michael for many of the scenes, as well as James Jude Courtney from 2018, who did all of the stunt work. Even though Tommy was originally portrayed by Brian Andrews, Paul Rudd was who the filmmakers went to first and asked if he'd like to reprise his role from Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers. But he declined because he was already committed to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Michael Anthony Hall, who ends up playing Tommy Doyle, does an excellent job at making us believe that he's lived through this trauma for the past 40 years. And that's what this film is all about: trauma. Halloween 2018 focused on the trauma of 3 generations of women. Halloween Kills focused on the trauma of everyone else in Haddonfield, whose lives were infected by evil who they call the Shape. So we start off with flashbacks of events that occurred back in 1978. There's even a shot that pays homage to the original film where Michael's parents discover him in their front yard with a big bloody knife. This time when the camera pulls back, instead of his parents, we have officers staring at him with their guns drawn. Obviously, they changed the ending of the original film in order to make this new story work. In 1978, it's understood that Michael Myers has gotten away after Loomis tried killing him. In this new version of the story, Michael is instead captured by the police, and Frank Hawkins has stopped Loomis from shooting him at point-blank range. I can see how this tweak in the story could rub some people the wrong way, but I was able to roll with it. But full disclosure, I'm not a die-hard Halloween fan. I always loved the original film as a kid, and as a preteen and teenager, I really liked Halloween H2O. I was a huge Josh Hartnett fan, still am, and was always watching his films like H2O, The Faculty, O, and The Virgin Suicides. I watched The Virgin Suicides a lot. But as a kid, Halloween wasn't my go-to franchise like Child's Play or A Nightmare on Elm Street. However, in preparation for Halloween Kills, I watched the entire franchise and found a whole new appreciation for all of the movies. And obviously, I love Rob Zombie's remake. His second film, not so much, but the first one was just epic. It feels like Danny, David, and Scott listened to the Halloween fans who said they really enjoyed the violence in Rob Zombie's films. Even the kids who picked on Lonnie in the beginning have his trashy vibe. Halloween 2018 is a powerful film that really takes the story in a great direction. So walking into Halloween Kills, I was beyond excited. When we get into the credits about 15 minutes into the film, the theme of abundance just smacks you in the face. space. Instead of seeing one jack-o'-lantern, there are a ton floating by, some even catching fire, turning them black. There's even one with a blood teardrop. After seeing the intro and the opening credits, you just know you're going to be in for one wild ride. Not only were there more jack-o'-lanterns in the opening credits, just like in 2018, there are jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. The original film was made on such a small budget that I'm sure if they had more money, they would have gotten more pumpkins. But the scarcity of pumpkins and Halloween decorations make it a little bit more creepy in a way. That fall feeling and air of spookiness was all conveyed through dialogue, music, wardrobe, and lighting. Now, the music in Halloween Kills is bad, but in Halloween 2018, it was 10 times better. For some reason, John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel A. Davies decided to switch it up, but the sound design is beautiful and eerie. One of my favorite moments is when an officer says it's Michael Myers, and out of nowhere, he sounds like a distorted demon. All of the kill scenes were wonderfully gory. I loved every single one of them. And some of them even harken back to past kills in the franchise. There are so many callbacks to the previous films in the franchise, not just the original in 2018, but several of them. The poor in-home nurse who gets the fluorescent light into the neck was extra jacked up. Michael didn't even bother finishing her off, instead just left her there, breathing her last breaths while watching him get his stabbing game back on old dude. Damn. I really loved the couple that moved into Michael Myers' childhood home. They were just perfection. Michael McDonald was one of my absolute favorites on Mad TV, and Scott MacArthur was amazing on The Mick. I really wish The Mick would have made it more than just 2 seasons. I feel like I could tell when we were watching the work of Danny McBride, and this couple was an example of that. The comedic relief I could also see rubbing some fans the wrong way, since the original film was just so far from a comedy horror. In Halloween 2018, the film became a bit self-aware, a little bit like Scream, but not over the top. There were just some subtle moments here and there. An example of this would be when Laurie says to the new doctor, "Oh, you're the new Loomis." I welcome this change and feel that it helps broaden the audience a bit. The other comedic relief characters were the black couple, who we see for 5 seconds in 2018. When they were trying to leave the bar and he forgets his stethoscope again is when it clicked for me that that's who they were. They were really good together, and her death scene really stands out. It's interesting that there's so much talk about Michael staring out of his sister's bedroom window. Maybe in the next film it will be explained more and could possibly give us some answers as to why Michael is so evil. We even have Karen at the end go up to that very window he is obsessed with and stand where he loves to stand just to be stabbed to death. But I wondered why she would want to be anywhere near that house after the ordeal she had just gone through. Another thing I like about where they took the story is that Michael's obsession isn't necessarily about Laurie anymore. She is no longer his sister, and Michael's new doctor is the one that took Michael to Laurie. He didn't seek her out. Michael's obsession is more about killing and that freaking window. Even in the first film, I didn't necessarily think that he was fixated on her for any particular reason other than the fact that she was on his doorstep that one morning. And for whatever reason, of all his victims, she kept getting away and he was just trying to finish the job. As for some of my dislikes, I certainly didn't like that we didn't get to see Laurie be the badass that we all came for. She was laid up in the hospital bed the entire time, just like in Halloween 2. But because we know Halloween Ends is coming next year, we know that she'll get her big finale. It's just too bad that we couldn't get both Michael's killing spree and Laurie in action. The writing fell short at times. This included moments where I was unsure of how to react with certain lines. Was it supposed to be funny, or was it just a line that fell flat? And an example of this would be when Tom Tommy Doyle was trying to hype up the mob and he says evil dies tonight, a woman repeats it back, and it was an awkward moment. I wasn't sure of whether to laugh or if that was a serious moment or what. Another moment that falls flat is when she's on her way to the hospital and yells out, "Let it burn." In the trailer, when she says this line, it reverberates through your entire body and shakes you to the core because you know that these firefighters are on their way to release Michael from his burning grave. However, in the film, when she delivers the line the first time, I think, okay, it's a little flat, but maybe the second time we'll get that same feeling we got from the trailer. But when she says it a second time, she's cut off and they cut right to the fire. Just super underwhelming, with the moment that was supposed to set me up to enjoy the rest of the film. And because she fears that these firefighters are going to let Michael out of her trap, it doesn't make too much sense that Lori, someone who was paranoid just the day before, would suddenly have peace of mind and know for a fact that Michael is dead. She would have been trying to leave that hospital bed much sooner. But overall, this was a good film. Halloween Kills earns 3.5 rainbow skulls. It's beautifully shot, and it gives us gorehounds exactly what we came for. It delivers a story that honors the original film and gives us more insight into the beginnings of it all. It's a damn good time and a killer segue into the grand finale. Well, thank you again for joining me today, fellow Stardust. I appreciate you being here with me. I'll be back next week with another horror film review, and I've got some more goodies coming your way. So, if you haven't already, go ahead and hop on the rainbowFRIGHT freight train and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time I upload a new video. I hope I see you next time. Peace.